All right, for anyone learning Mandarin, you know that pronunciation can be, well, a bit of a minefield. But there's one thing that's so foundational, it's basically the bedrock of the entire spoken language. If you get it wrong, you're looking at total confusion. But if you get it right, you unlock a whole new level of fluency. So today, we're going to do a deep dive into this one critical piece of the puzzle, the tones of Mandarin Chinese. To really wrap our heads around just how huge the impact of tones is, let's start with a classic example. Honestly, this is a rite of passage for pretty much every single learner, and it perfectly shows why tones aren't just some optional extra. They are the core of what a word even means. So imagine this. You say a syllable that, to your ear, sounds perfectly fine, ma, but the person you're talking to just looks at you completely baffled. Are you asking about their mother, or are you randomly talking about a horse? And this isn't an exaggeration. This is the kind of mix-up that happens every single day when tones get ignored. Okay, let's really zoom in and analyze what's on this slide because it breaks down this one little syllable. I'm going to say each one, and I really want you to try repeating them after me. First up, we have the high, flat first tone, ma, which means mother. Hear how that pitch just stays up high and level? Now, the second one, the rising tone, ma, meaning hemp. It should sound almost like you're asking a question, ma? Third, we have the dipping and rising third tone, ma, a horse. And finally, that sharp falling fourth tone, ma, to scold. Just listen to that difference one more time. Ma, 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 ma. Same exact sounds, but four totally different words. This idea is absolutely central to everything we're talking about. So now that we've seen the very real consequences of getting tones wrong, let's get a bit more formal and define what a tone actually is. A really helpful way to think about this is to shift your brain from just thinking about phonetics to thinking about music. Because really, every single syllable in Mandarin has its own little melody. And right here, this is the big mental leap for anyone coming from a non-tonal language. See, in English, the pitch we use, our intonation, it just adds emotion. I can say great with a falling pitch, and it sounds like I'm happy. Or I can say great with a rising pitch, and you know I'm being sarcastic. But the word great is still the same word. In Mandarin, that's not how it works at all. The pitch isn't just for flavor, it's lexical. It's a non-negotiable part of the word's DNA. You change the tone, you've changed the entire word. This table right here is basically your roadmap to the four main tones. Let's look at those pitch contours, those numbers. Think of them as a scale from 1, your lowest possible pitch, to 5, your highest. So that first tone, ma, is a 5-5. It starts high and it stays high. Simple enough. The second tone, ma, is a 3-5. It starts in the middle of your range and goes up. The third tone, ma, this is the trickiest one. It's a 2-1-4. You have to dip way down to the bottom of your vocal range before you rise back up. A really common mistake is not dipping low enough. And finally, the fourth tone, ma, is a 5-1. It's a sharp, decisive drop from the very top to the very bottom. So let's try them. Flat, rising, dipping, and falling. So now let's talk about the big challenge that these tones create for us as learners. It's so important to see this not as some kind of personal failure, but as a known, documented, and totally normal hurdle you have to clear when you're learning Mandarin. All the linguistic research and studies on learning a second language, they are crystal clear on this. Students absolutely must focus their energy on these especially challenging tones. This isn't something you can just clean up later on. It's a day one skill. The fact that the literature calls them especially challenging tells you everything. This requires serious, dedicated practice right from the very beginning. This slide really just lays out the huge cognitive shift you have to make. If you're a native English speaker, your brain is wired to hear pitch and think emotion or emphasis. To learn Mandarin, you have to consciously retrain your brain to hear pitch and think meaning. You have to treat it like a core part of the word, just like you can tell the difference between a B and a P. And, as we've already seen, the stakes are way higher than just mistaking a statement for a question. Okay, so we've defined the challenge. Now let's flip it around and focus on what happens when you master it. Getting your tones right isn't just about not making mistakes. It is the absolute key to unlocking real, effective communication and showing you have a deep understanding of the language. I want you to look at the exact wording here from our source material. Correcting tone errors is crucial for clear communication. That word, crucial, was chosen for a reason. It doesn't say helpful, it doesn't say important. Crucial means it's a decisive, non-negotiable factor. Without accurate tones, clear communication is basically impossible. Misunderstanding isn't just a possibility, it's a certainty. This brings us to a really simple, direct equation. The tone is like the password that unlocks the meaning of the syllable. So this has to change how you learn vocabulary. You're not just memorizing a word anymore, you are memorizing a word and its own special melody. They are inseparable. And the rewards for putting in this hard work go way beyond just being understood. Of course, it's going to build your confidence, but on a much deeper level, it shows respect. Respect for the language and for the culture. In many Chinese-speaking communities, when a foreigner really tries to get the tones right, it's seen as a genuine effort to connect, not just to get information. It's the difference between being a tourist and a serious student. And believe me, that effort is noticed and appreciated. It opens doors. Okay, so how do we actually start? You're probably thinking, I get it, it's important, but what do I do? So let's wrap this up with a practical, step-by-step framework you can start using today to make real progress. This isn't magic, it's all about disciplined practice. This slide lays out a super effective practice loop. I seriously recommend you make this 3-step process a daily habit. First, listen. Put on some native audio and just listen, focusing only on the ups and downs of the pitch. Don't even worry about speaking yet. Second, mimic. When you do repeat the sounds, exaggerate them. Don't be shy. Make the high tones really high and the low tones really low. Overdoing it helps build muscle memory. Third, record and compare. Use your phone, record your voice, and then listen to it right after the native speaker's audio. That gap you hear between the two, that's where you need to focus. This little feedback loop is your daily workout for your tongue and your ears. So let this be your new mantra. You're not just a language student anymore. You are now also a student of music. Every single new word you learn is a new note you have to master. If you can reframe your goal like this, it will completely change your relationship with Mandarin, and I promise it will speed up your path to fluency. So I'll leave you with this one question to think about as you move forward. Are you just memorizing characters and pinyin, just learning words, or are you truly learning to hear and create the music that is built into every single syllable? Your answer to that question is what's going to define your journey in this language.